on my mind a lot. Don't need no time watch. I don't know how I got you in my pocket spot. Yeah, that's babe, miss you every day. You like my oxygen. Make it seem like the barging down. Got my heart no barging in. From the bed to the floor to the couch. Might wake the neighbors up. Break you in and break you out. In the end, we're gonna make it.
Dionna, welcome back for another edition of All Time High, and welcome back from Dubai.
Yeah, yay! It was an amazing trip. I'm happy to finally be home now. It was quite a long time away, and Dubai was amazing though. Like Token 2049 was an incredible conference, and then there was the blockchain summit right afterwards. So great to see huge tech in the industry, and just amazing people and projects.
Yeah, anything in particular that stood out for you that you want to let the listeners know about? Anything maybe?
Actually, there's of course, I'm into the AI, right? And once upon a time, there was this guy who worked in crypto space, and I showed him 330 AI Pixel Mind, which was kind of like Midjourney, and he loved it. So he actually built an entire app on the Rainmaker network. I don't know the exact name of the app, but the idea is you download the app, and then you generate an image using AI. And then you go in and you label certain parts of the image so that you're actually adding additional training to the AI, and you get rewarded in Rainmaker tokens for that. And it's an amazing project. I think the business model is incredible, and I was happy that I could inspire it. He was happy I could inspire it, and he treated me to a couple nice dinners and a little spa day just to say thank you. I know, it was great. And he's like,
wow,
yeah, happy. I was like, I'm here to give you all the ideas you need.
Well, that's awesome that they're taking ideas and putting them into implementation. That's even more exciting.
Yeah, I love, when people can, it's amazing when people can just see an idea and run with it. And I think so many people are scared to do that. And blockchain and crypto opens up opportunities just even more for random people to do it, right? People who may or may not have experience. So that's the part I love about this industry.
No, it's amazing. And the ability to take an idea and implement it is huge to the growth, the development. That's why I keep track of developers. That's why we keep track of the market cap. Today's kind of going to be the market cap episode. Let's take a look at where we are at 2.34 trillion, down 1.3% over the last day. Here's your favorite number. What was your sense of the fear and greed index in Dubai? Did it come up? Were people talking about it? What was their take?
No, everybody still thinks we're essentially in the bull market. Although I did hear quite a bit that nobody thinks the bull market is going to last as long as the last few ones. And mostly because instead of having, we have more commercial money coming in rather than, regular money. So it's not as distributed. It's a lot more consolidated. So they think that it's going to be up and then down real fast this time.
You got it. And I am obviously, we're checking out Bitcoin just because it represents about half of the market cap, 1.25 trillion versus 2.3. So really more than half at this point. And it continues to fluctuate around $63,000. Yeah. Some of the inflows into the ETF have slowed a bit, but today we're going to talk about this magic number here, this 2.34 trillion. I want to share with you some intel that I was able to secure. It is, well, you can kind of take a look at it and you might wonder, let's take a look, see what you see. Now, this is a point in time, and you could say that it is trending and trailing a lot like, this thing that we're in right now as we look at the market cap of cryptocurrency. This, though, was the market cap of the internet.
Yeah.
And you can see that there's this kind of place, and we said we're at 2.3, we're at 2.6, and earlier we were at 3.1. That was the previous all-time market cap for cryptocurrency. Yeah. And as you look at this run-up, one of the catalysts, right? And I don't know, Dionna, if we're closer to this 3.7 with capitulation, because this was the .com bust, and then it kind of scrolled up and started to creep back up. I mean, was this the case with FTX when it fell off for cryptocurrency off the cliff like this? Because this was .com bust. Was our FTX bust down here below 1 trillion collectively? And now we've started to creep and crawl and move to 2.6 trillion. That's one way.
I think it's interesting too, because when you look at, if you were to overlay cryptocurrency based on this, I think our ups and downs are a lot more. So, and the fact that we go every time we go higher, every time we have an all-time high or we hit the bull market, it goes higher. Like the most it's ever been right now is the 72,000, 73,000, somewhere around there. And so, FTX, I feel like the highest was around 60, right? 58, 60, 64, something like that. And so it kind of mimics,
Okay.
but I don't think it quite mimics. So then, there's an argument to say maybe we're not exactly like the .com bubble. Oh, and then, what's interesting right around 1999, 2000, do you remember what the biggest thing to me, what I remember the biggest thing on the internet, but do you remember what the biggest thing to you on the internet was back then?
Well, I would, like Netscape, pets.com.
Yeah,
I mean, that was kind of where I was at. How about you?
Right? It was, all the music I could get. I was all about it. I was like, yeah, give me some Dave Matthews. I was downloading it. I loved it.
Yeah, for sure. And, ask and ye shall receive. Here is kind of the market cap for all of crypto through the years. And you can see the peak in 2018. You can see run-ups in 2021, not that long ago in April, followed by right before FTX. It got pretty hot. So here we are. I'm not saying it looks like a double top. I'm not, but does it? I don't know.
We're not financial people though, so this is not financial advice.
We're not. I'm not good with charts. I'm not. I just look at them and stare at them all day, but it's not financial advice. Do your own research.
So for
sure.
Yeah,
but let's go
if
back.
You're just following that trend, that three peak. So if you're following the trends, we should not be at the top of the bull cycle yet, but it'll be interesting to see if if it's is wide or if it ends up being as sharp like it is on the .com.
And so I wanted to point something out. I went down and looked at all the details down here, and the numbers are surprisingly familiar. And as I looked, there was a real big deal that happened that I thought was the run up for the internet. And it was this sales tax moratorium. Do you see that down here when e-commerce was passed by Congress? And I look then, it was like a 1.5 trillion, let's call it 1.6. And that was the catapult. That was the catalyst that moved things up to 3.7 trillion. And in my heart of hearts, not trying to predict the future, but depict the present, I am hearing a lot of conversation about stablecoin legislation.
Yeah, it's coming. We all know it's coming. The problem is they just how to release it without losing control. You know what I mean? I think, it's still, and then, so I think the blockchain itself is a barrier.
Well, say what you're going to say. I know what you want to say. Say what you're going to say. Even if we lose the episode.
I wasn't going to say that. I actually wasn't going to say that. I was thinking more of the specific government, right? Like, here's the thing. When they release the CBDC and we actually have to go to on-chain transactions.
There, you said it. That's what I was thinking you said. I didn't want our users to be surprised by it is. Yeah. That's where this is going, right? You know that. The stablecoin takes us to the
CBDC.
Fair enough. No, well, I don't know. I'm okay with you saying
it's going to happen. It's okay. It's inevitable. It's going to happen.
Have any more
but
listeners.
once they force the CBDC, right? So they say it's going to replace the dollar so that the one-to-one doesn't have to be there. It's another way for them to print money. And once you force those on-chain transactions, it's great for the government, but it also makes it so that the government is very auditable. And I don't know that our government wants to be auditable. So, there's this back and forth of good and evil. And I think what they're trying to do is how can they take advantage of all the good and avoid all the accountability themselves? And that's going to take them a minute to figure out.
That's going to be a trick. Yeah. And my sense of that is once that US sales tax was set in play and kind of gave them that window with a little bit more regulatory certainty, that's what we're talking about. When they do stablecoin legislation, it's going to be the acknowledgement from the US government that no longer are we going to continue down this regulation by enforcement path. It's going to be more down the path of, okay, this is coming. It is inevitable. I don't think it's going to be people that are in the know like you are going to know the CBDC thing is like the other domino to fall. Yeah. But preliminarily, I do think it's going to be a legitimate way. It'll legitimize the space and cause people to invest. And I think where our 2.3 trillion sits today, there's not only going to be an inflow of money from the US, but from all over the world, because the biggest player is going to say, all right, we're going to do this thing. And it's just going to be that catapult. And I think that's what takes
it could
us
be. And don't forget too, if for some reason they were to backdoor and say, no, we're not going to approve, stable coins, don't get confused. The CBDC is not considered a stable coin because It's from the central bank, right? A stable coin is pegged to the dollar. The CBDC is the dollar. So don't think just because they pass one, it negates the other. They can actually do whatever they want. And I've literally heard them say that before.
Yeah, I've also, wow, I don't even know. I'm going to keep it into analytics. I want to keep it in a comparison way. And I wanted to give you some examples. Do you know, so we're looking back in history at what the internet represented in terms of trillions of dollars. And more recently, we heard Brad Garlinghouse, who is saying that Ripple is going to introduce a stable coin. He seems like he's aware that the government is going to issue stable coins. And he's saying that he thinks this asset class is going to go to 5 trillion. So I took a look back and said, where is the internet today, several years later? And if all you did was take the big cap internet, what number do you think we would be at? And by big cap, I mean Facebook, Google. Oh. I'd even say Amazon. These are internet companies to me.
Today, 2 trillion. It's a lot. Holy cow.
It's 12.25 trillion. Wow. If you include all of the internet, it's 20 trillion. If you look at the US stock market, just to give comparison points, it's 50 trillion. That's the value today. And if you look at Chinese real estate, it's 135 trillion. So when you talk about tokenizing all these asset classes, these numbers become mind-boggling. And I wanted to share this with you as well. Gold today, valued at 16 trillion. Silver today, 1.5 trillion. So you've got Bitcoin at 1.3, all the other altcoins, let's call it at 1.1, and silver's at 1.5. So we are at a very interesting space and place, and it can take off like a rocket ship.
I love it. You know, it's funny too. I always see like, you know, it's obviously it's scams on social media, and it'll be like, these are the top coins you need to buy and invest in. And they always have Tether in there. And it's like, you guys, it's a stable coin. Like you could buy Tether, but you could buy $100 in Tether. And guess what? In 5 years, you're going to have $100 of Tether. So yeah, that's how that works.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny, like as we look at investments, I don't know if you kept up with this as it went down, but I went to bed one night, and speaking of tokenizing all these real world assets, right? They could be represented authentically on the blockchain, could be authenticated across multiple parties as authentic. And I think that's a huge part of this innovation. There was a rumor that got out that HBAR had entered into agreement with BlackRock. And there was some press release and validation. And if you look, the HBAR shot up. And I have a bag of HBAR. And so not financial advice, but I was going to sleep and I'm like, yeah, I'll get this in the morning. By the next morning, the HBAR had tumbled off the cliff because it wasn't completely true. It was only partially true. There was a third party that was involved. And the HBAR, they were doing things with BlackRock, but it wasn't quite the tokenization of the entire world of real world assets. So it had gone up and it tripled, quadrupled in price, and then it came back down off that sky high.
Yeah, you got to trust your gut. When it says pull, you better pull, because it does. I mean, it sucks when that happens, especially, okay, so we go back running a business. Imagine how much that happens in a business. And if you don't take profits and you wait, I've had many times that happen and have come out of pocket to cover things because I waited too long to flip it. So, trust that gut.
So I do have another good story. I keep going back to this feel-good story of dog whiff hat. I actually set my instructions. I set my limit orders on it. And so once it hit a certain level, I got in at a low.
Yeah.
Felt like there was going to be some volatility around it. And I didn't want to have the same issue that I had with HBAR happen with dog whiff hat. So made a nice little collection on that. I'll be reporting it on my taxes. That's what you get to do. That's part of the gig.
You share a little? Was it double, triple, somewhere?
But a nice little. No, okay. I'm like in the 20-30% range. I didn't get. I think you have to. You tell me what your thoughts are, but I think you have to buy early to get these 1,000%.
No, definitely. Runs. Like the 0.0003. Those when you look at the. When it comes to a project in the total addressable market, that tells you whether or not that coin even has that capability to hit. And if you get in early, we go back to Uniswap, whatever, when coins first come out, I mean, there's a good chance you hit those thousands percent. But right now, you think about Ethereum. If for Ethereum to double, it only has to go to 6,000. But for Bitcoin to double, it has to go to 126,000, right? So, but that doesn't mean it won't. It just means what are the odds that it's going to happen? And so sometimes those lower coins are the bigger opportunities for those 10x gains. Not financial advice.
Yeah, not financial advice, but yeah, from a percentage standpoint, you can play at the different levels, and even the dollar amount of the particular coin, it shouldn't necessarily relate to that, but in terms of 2xing, 3xing, 10xing, you got to play in more obscure places to be successful in that way. All right, well, hey, this all-time high, it seems like we said that it's inevitable. Can't wait to see what happens with legislation. Was there any talk about U.S.?
Yeah.
Because you must have been working with people from all over the world in your trip to Dubai. Any final thoughts in terms of how are they seeing the U.S.'s apparent reluctance to participate? Any take on that? Are they like, no, we're going to just do our own thing here?
Yeah, that's this is the great thing about the technology, right? It's a worldwide technology. So if the US blocks it, they're just going to go somewhere else. So nobody's going to stop us. I mean, it's just like during COVID when everybody was locked up in their houses, we were out building. And guess what? If the US wants to say no, you know what? They're still out there building. It just means the US is missing the opportunities, but the opportunities are going to be there for somebody else to grab.
Yeah, I mean, so we hit the parlay, the triple play of C words. I think you said COVID. I said China. We both said CBDCs. So this episode will be our censored episode.
We'll get there.
That's okay. That's okay. It's going to be out there in the universe. We're just going to keep putting good energy. And I'm excited about cryptocurrency moving closer and closer each and every day to another all-time high. Dionna, thanks again.
You on my mind a lot. Don't need no time watch. I don't know how I got